Welcome, painters. Today we're going to adventure into some new areas for painting. A little bit of a new idea that we're going to come up with, working with found objects. This is a kneaded rubber eraser. It's great for stress relief as we work on our projects and that sort of a thing. If you have one, I recommend it. Those squeezy balls are pretty good too for stress relief. Anyway, these are some things you need. You'll probably need some sort of an X-Acto knife or a razor blade or something to cut with. That's kind of an important deal. We'll need our watercolor sets on that. I got some water over here. I got our watercolor sets, particularly black or dark or something on those lines. Just a pencil for drawing with. White is an interesting thing. You probably noticed in watercolors we don't have a lot of white paint. In fact, we usually use the paper. This is kind of an optional thing. I was trying to think of things you might have around the home. I happen to have a white pencil. Is a Prisma pencil, and so that's one sort of thing. Something you might have a white crayon, which is also a useful item for getting white. Here's a standard thing some people have, not everybody, but whiteout can also be used for getting on your white surfaces. Also, if you're out and about, you can pick up a little tube or a little squeezy jar or whatever of acrylic paint, like from Walmart or something like that. It's like 50 cents. They're not that expensive. And then that's one way to get some whites on this one. We're going to be working with the 3-value rule, the idea of having 3 different values to create a painting. This one is going to be a little bit different. We're going to use a cardboard, but we're going to use some of the textures of the cardboard on that one. So step number 1 is I need you to draw something that has 3 values. We're going to use a cube on this one. That's usually what I've used to introduce some things. A cube and a cylinder or something along those lines. So I'm going to start out by first just drawing a cube. And we've talked about it's helpful to first start out with a rectangle or a square when you're drawing these things. This ought to work out okay, I hope. And so there's my rectangle. And then we make these lines going back. This should be a review for a lot of us. We've done this with our watercolor paints when we were first learning how to do some of those. Some of our other things as well. And so there's our cube part. So first draw the rectangle, then draw the lines going diagonally back, then draw the back and the front going in the same direction there. Same with our top on that one. And then finally we want to have a cast shadow that's back over here like this. And those just come directly out from the side. Directly out from the side from that corner. And then the back side of it, this line, all 4 of these, this line, this line, this line, and this line all go in the same direction. They should be parallel with each other. Let's go ahead and do a cylinder as well. I usually like for a cylinder, I like to draw the oval that's the top part first on those. Like that. So if you draw the oval, then draw these lines straight down from the top of the oval. Like that. And then remember, the bottom of the oval is round, or the bottom of the cylinder is rounded. It's the same as this one. These 2 pieces are the same, they're identical. This is a little bit of extra. I guess I did use my kneaded rubber eraser after all to take care of those extra lines that we had. Then for the cast shadow on this one, if we just take it off the bottom like that, and then this distance, double that, and then we can make a rounded edge here like that. Okay, so that's kind of where we're going to start out for this first assignment. We're going to do some other paintings on cardboard as well, but first, that's our first step. That's what we want to do. Let's identify where we have some of our light areas, some of our dark areas on that one. And let's first start out. The darkest area is going to be our cast shadows on these ones. And so our cast shadow here, our cast shadow on this one. This one is usually a darker gray. And then these a lot of times are light with those as well. On this one here, we have a gradient effect coming across here, right? That's a kind of our medium gray in this area. And this is our cast shadow again on that. And then light areas on those as well. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do a little bit of painting. On this one, you're only going to need black on those. And so I have some black paint here. That looks pretty good. And you want it pretty thick and goopy black with those. I know in the watercolor paintings in the past that we've started with, we did a little bit with starting with the light colors first. This one we're going to do just a little bit different. I'm going to start with the dark on that, on trying to paint that in. And it's really thick, so I wanted it dark, 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 dark. And the thing we found about the cardboard in general in using it is it was fairly robust. You could paint right on it and have it work really well for you. It didn't fold. It's thick enough to where it doesn't curl or fold or do anything weird like that. Use the tip of your brush to define where your edges are. Tip of the brush is your best tool. That needs to go just a little more in the corner there. Okay, so I got that going. Let's finish filling this in. The thing that we found on this, and if you're most cardboards, unless you have a cardboard that has a white, that's like from a white box or something like that, you don't have any white really, and so it's a medium value with those, and so that's kind of the deal that we're working with, is how we're going to get our lights, our mediums, and our darks in this particular painting. And let's go this way. Once again, you can use the tip of the brush. Is very good at putting a pinpoint exactly where you want it, sort of a thing. Anytime when you get down to the bottom of the brush here, you can't do it, or if it's underneath it. But the tip of the brush is a pretty accurate tool for putting the paint where we want it. Okay, I'm going to take and we're just going to pull this way a little bit. You don't have to do too much painting, the painting part of this one. Okay. Okay, so those are our darkest darks on that. Remember, this is kind of a little bit of a investigation of things as far as that goes. Okay, so now here's where this next part comes in. So we've got our dark value. We're going to use the cardboard as our light value. We'll come back in with this maybe. Let's go ahead and do that. I guess we can do that. I got the crayon over here just to show a couple of different things, and it doesn't have to be too heavy. I do want it lightest right there on that side, maybe. There's my crayon. And then I'm coming and put a little bit of a lighter value back over here too. And the thing of it is, even with this should start to look a little bit like the 3-value painting, right? I got my light, my medium, and my dark on those just by using the crayon. I'm going to use this guy over here on this one a little bit so we can kind of see what we have. A Prisma pencil is a pretty good pencil. They actually have a lot in common with the crayon. The pigment is a little bit heavier, as you probably noticed with your Prisma pencil, but it's a wax-based pencil. The binding agent they use for Prisma pencils is wax. That binds the pigment together with those. And then I wanted back here just a little bit of some values associated with that. Now, like I said, that gives us our 3 values that we're looking for, but I want to do something just a little bit more with this to help kind of cement that in just a little bit more. And that's where we're coming in with the X-Acto knife on this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the top layer of cardboard in this area over here. So I'm just going to take and I'm going to cut down just barely, just into the thing. I don't even need to cut through those lumps that you run through. And then I'm going to cut down here just the first little bit of a layer. And then I chose to paint first because then I could cut this and not have my paint accidentally bleed into some areas, but it didn't really go too far. And I'll probably have some images of some I guess it's torn cardboard paintings on that sort of a thing. Okay, now that I have that area cut out, I'm going to just try and stick this under here a little bit. This is right on the edge of one of those pieces of corrugation. There we go. Got it a little bit more here. And I can use this to try and lift off the paper, the first layer of paper. Okay, that's coming on pretty good. I'm going to use this to kind of get that other little bit out. Don't cut yourself either, that'd probably be bad, huh? And the reason I want to do this is all of a sudden you'll notice that that place where we have the corrugation showing through becomes a little bit more like the medium value. When I'm pinching this together, I'm not grabbing it like this. I have it on the flat side of the blade. So if I have it like this and I'm pushing down on this back side or the flat side, I can get underneath it here. I don't want people all of a sudden going home and trying this out and slicing their finger open. Because, oh, I saw Mr. White do it. Well, so there we have the corrugation on that one. Let's turn it right side up so we can see it. So you can see it already. So you got your light, now you got your medium area, and then you have your light value here. So dark, medium, and light on those areas. We've further accented the light with that area over here. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of that over here as well. And now I didn't cut that middle part. I'm kind of curious on this one as I pull this up. Once you find a groove, you can kind of get in underneath that groove and kind of lift the paper a little bit. Or break the paper. Yeah, way to go, Orange. Okay, pulling that over a little bit. Here's what I was curious about. If I took this and did it kind of, I don't know, maybe more of a softer torn edge. I don't know. I think that's just ripping the whole thing up too much. Yeah, let's not do that. That was the experiment gone awry. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this side of this one. This one. And now I can get in here and pull this paper up. Okay, I'm gonna do this. You just can't not abandon that idea. Maybe having some of this irregular. I didn't want this to be a sharp edge. I wanted more of a torn edge. And so I'm just kind of ripping at this paper a little bit, peel it up a little bit, like that. And then use my thumb or finger to make kind of a torn edge. So it's not a sharp edge. I was thinking maybe that would work better for the gradient effect, a pseudo gradient effect. Here, let's make this one sharper back over here. It does get darkest right there, so I want all of this little bit removed. Like that. And then maybe leave some of these pieces in here so it's not quite as sharp. It's a little bit of a gradient effect. That's what I was after, is this little torn edge right here with a gradient effect on that. This one I could probably clean up this backside edge a little bit more here. Okay, and so that is it for my first assignment with the torn cardboard, lifted cardboard, and being able to use the black paints. Now, if you don't have these guys, if you don't have some sort of a white, don't worry about putting it on that. It will work just fine with having it as this is your dark area, this is your medium area, and this the color of the cardboard that's a medium in general. We can use that, or you can use these guys. Either one will work. That is our first assignment of the torn cardboard painting that we're going to be working on, just trying to show that we can get 3 different values. That's about it. Thanks.